I do not think for 2023 s1mple will finish in the top 3.
Oh, wait a minute. He didn't even say top 3. Okay. Right, this is going to be another episode of everyone's favourite news show that is actually harder than you think to say, but I've got it written on the screen, so it's hot take, point made. That's right, even I don't remember my own. That's just because it can be like HTPM or whatever, so we'll figure it out as we go. If anyone's seen the first few episodes, you'll see that, like, spoiler, I do genuinely just sort of trip over an esports. It's like, oh, I've succeeded wildly in a way no one else could. Oh, well, you know what? Guess it had to be someone. Just again, me, just always me. Actually, technically, I will say, the idea of doing a show was Maui's idea, but I just came up with the theme. And spoiler, I'll tell you right now, we haven't done it yet, but I can already promise you, because this format actually is a banger and has insane legs, I am definitely going to iterate this into other games. Like, I'll almost certainly do like a League of Legends one or something like, because it's just actually a great format, as you'll see. Especially, the key thing is, though, you've got to have the right people with you. That's like a cheesy segue to go, and of course, I've got Mauisnake here and kassad, so... It's like, right, so let's get into it, right? Who wants to start this one? Maui, do you want to start this one? I think kassad started the last one. Do you want to start this one? Do you have a take to start out with?
I'll take an easy one. I have some ones that I've really got in the chamber locked and loaded.
Okay.
But
by the way, I also noticed we're also, just from the first few episodes, a meta has emerged where no one wants to like put the spiciest take first. You want to sort of like let the other guy blow his take and then try and scoop him at the end. So it's all, okay, this is good. Let's start. We're starting at what, essentially, as far as I can tell, we're all going to start with the mildest take and then it goes slightly hotter. And at the end, it just goes like through the roof and the episode ends. So what's our like starter course here? Come on, what's our starter?
My opener for this one is just that Naf, for his career, could and should do what Twisted. I think he should move to Europe.
Okay.
I think he should probably try to get out of his Liquid contract, because I think that it's pretty obvious that you could throw this guy into any role on practically any team and he's going to be succeeding. He pretty much has the worst roles on Liquid right now in terms of CT spots. It's kind of him and Nitro trading there, and for T-side roles, also not getting the most help in those positions, and yet he's consistently delivering in terms of stats. Obviously, impact-wise, he's winning them rounds when they sometimes have no business winning them. And so I think that if he wants to really continue being a top-tier CS player, the Liquid situation is really rocky right now. You look at what just happened at Blast. They're going to be going to the Showdown for the upcoming spring finals. I mean, that's already hard enough to swallow. And then you look at just kind of where the team is. Like, OC hasn't really developed. I don't know if the IGLing is really taking hold yet or working. Elige seems like he's on a considerable downturn. Yakindar, kind of just inconsistent in general. Still a very good player, but I think that he's just shown that he's not going to always hit his stride every single tournament. And so I think if Naf wants to actually get the most out of his career and his potential and build the greatest legacy he can, he should just be moving to Europe. He should just be joining a European team.
Ooh, okay. What do you think, kassad?
It's
you up for it?
Yeah, I agree to some extent, not for everything. For example, I don't think he can play any role. I think he's comfortable and successful and one of the best.
By the way, just as an aside, since kassad isn't going to say this himself, remember kassad did actually coach Naf when he was on Renegade. I'll just mention that as a key piece of context here. So go on, keep going.
Yes. The thing is, like with him, you need to put him in his spot to play for him to play his best CS, right? So, and he was in a good spot in my team. In Optic before, he was like a little bit, underrated and kind of pushed to the side. But they did play well. And in Liquid, he used to have a good spot. And he used to deliver a lot. Lately, not so much. Europe move could be successful for him. He was supposed to go to Europe at some point before he joined us in 2018. It was a discussion of him going to, was it Optic? Or some lineup like that. I think it was the Optic European lineup.
Oh, right, with the Megas and all those guys.
Yeah. He was supposed to leave Italu or something like that. I can't remember. It was like 5 years ago. Okay. But the thing is, like, he was supposed to go there, but I don't know what happened, and he ended up with us. I wasn't sure about that one, but it would be a good move for him. I don't disagree whatsoever. I think you can put him in a lineup like Vitality instead of, getting Spinks, putting him there to deliver that closer/lurker spot, and he would absolutely be a monster because he's a very reliable player right now. And it's like, you can tell him, like, listen, I need you to do this type of, like, general stuff. You don't need to tell him the details. Like, I need this from you. I need you to contain this part of the map for this amount of time. Yeah, we're going to put you in a position to close this shot. He's going to nod his head, says yes, and he gets there and he gets the job done. So, yeah, right now the Liquid situation is quite awful. and I expected more coming off a break. I think we discussed it before. OC still makes a lot of questionable calls, decisions mid-round. I think I even tweeted about it. I don't understand sometimes if he is, not getting all the information, not registering them, or he's just playing bad, because we need the context of the communications, how does it work there. But he's playing very questionably, and that's a difficult position that Liquid is right now. And I don't know how long is his contract when it comes to NAF, or does he have a long contract when he re-sign or anything? But Europe could be a decent mover. Yeah.
Okay. Here's the thing with that one is like, the big problem I have is it's so like kassad. It was good job he went first, because I'd also heard similar things from behind the scenes, which is I think what tricks people, Maui, is this, because his whole demeanor is he never gets flustered, does he? He's just a chill, cool guy who's just laid back. And I don't take it seriously, man. Yeah, the problem with that is, like, as kassad said, if you look at the teams where he like fragged out when he first joined Liquid, when he was in Renegade, he was smurfing because obviously he had every fucking role. The joke is in those teams, I've heard behind the scenes, he definitely wanted all those fucking spots. And he just said basically, like, give me these spots, I'll carry. So I think the problem I have is I actually don't like the idea that I get the sense in Liquid in these teams when they bring in different bigger names. He's someone who's sort of like, yeah, they can take this or I'll do this or whatever. That's okay, but if you actually are a top talent, like consistency-wise, this is one of the best NA players ever. Like, he doesn't have as many great highs, but his floor is mega. Like, the consistency is always going to be. It's why, if you notice, it's actually a bad sign when NAF is the highest rated player for Liquid, because it usually just means he played fine and the rest went to shit and fell off a cliff. Like, if he goes to the top, he's never going to be like a 1.3 rating player at a tournament in Liquid. Like, it's not his game. So to me, it would be more about which team is he joining. Like, if we can find if we're talking, like you said there, like a top team like Vitality or FaZe or something, yeah, that would cooking with gas. Maybe he can complete them and make them like that, or G2 or something. Like, it could be fucking amazing, right? But it'd have to be one of those teams. Is that the sort of team you had in mind, by the way, Maury? Like a massive power move, like the Twists to...
Yeah, like Twists. Like Twists. I kind of wrote it down like NAF should pull a Twist.
I mean, I'll even say, by the way, if you want a more, like, to make it even spicier, he is someone, by the way, that teams like a FaZe in the future should look at. And by the way, there's a secondary detail here. I don't know if you actually know this, so I'll just throw it out there. It's a bit of like gossip / speculation, but spoiler, he made it public. I'm not making this public myself. If people might remember, at the beginning of Blast in 2020, right, Team Liquid came there after that amazing 2019 that had sort of like tapered off. And you might remember this storyline, but at the event, Chad Sponge kept making all these like weird allusions to the idea, like they need to like, focus a lot more. They need to get more serious, Liquid. And the reason he was saying that is because when we went to the Blast tournament, it's when NAF and Twists had just gotten those girlfriends, who, if people don't know, were people in the scene, as far as I know, fans of Counter-Strike. Like, people will know Twists because obviously he's won everything she's in. But even NAF, she's on his social media a lot. I know that Twist's girlfriend is German. I'm not actually certain. Is NAF's girlfriend German as well? I believe she's European, right?
She's European.
By the way, even if Twist says that isn't part of the reason, I'm sure it was a nice bonus. It's a pretty good reason to go to a European team. So that angle even opens the door potentially. Like, what if in a year he decides maybe Liquid's not as good, or maybe he wants to move to Europe? Well, like, there would even be a good reason outside of the server potentially. But I agree. I do think there's a lot of teams he could fit in. Essentially, my only contention is, since I do get the sense he's a pretty amiable guy, I sort of want him to be put into his best spots. Like kassad said, some team to know this is how you use him. Don't just bring him in and go like, oh, Rain's retiring, so you're just Rain now. I don't want that move. I want him to actually have a chance to be like a star.
I think
G2 would be another good team for him as well.
Which one?
G2.
G2,
instead of
sure.
JKS.
That was what I was thinking. Perfect. Right?
G2 for JKS would be good. I think like it's pretty easy to like look at Maus and just think that he would just instantly thrive in that lineup.
He would go there.
Yeah,
probably not
like
enough money, obviously, but yeah.
It probably is beneath him. But then, like, NIP, he would just be an upgrade there. Also, I think a lot of the English-speaking teams that are in the top 15, he would just be an upgrade for. So it's just that Liquid obviously is a pretty good deal right now, and that's where you kind of have to like temper this a little bit.
I will also say as well, because kassad knows this, right? Even though that particular news report that was at the end of 2019, where it was like, NAF's joining EG, even though I heard that was behind the scenes, I never heard any info on that. There have been rumours in the past that NAF joined like EG or a bunch of different teams, right? Because it's not even like he's a Liquid lifer.
No,
the right deal, he probably would leave.
Yeah. he's not against changing, upgrading the team. Like we saw it before. Like it would happen if the right offer comes. I think he would accept it. But for example, Mauisnake, he would never consider that unless they become like a championship team. He would consider Vitality. I would believe G2 or FaZe, something like that. And other than those teams, I don't think he would even bother. So because switching to Europe would be a massive thing for him. He's as people might see him on the screen, he doesn't show a lot of emotions. He's just straight face, like poker face, whatever. But he is an emotional guy. Like things get to him. Like he's not, this, a machine that people are like seeing him through the camera. He is a guy. Okay. He's very quiet, introvert, but he's an emotional guy. He will, things get to him, right? Both good and bad as well. It's like any normal person. But I do believe he's 25, a solid 4 or 5 more years to play on a high tier. And like we said, like the situation in Liquid is not the ideal one right now. And obviously one of the things that is the personalities in that team. There are too many strong personalities in that team. And when they clash about the style, about like how they want to do things without the proper system above them, then it can be a problem. And I think that's the problem right now alongside OC as well.
Here's a shit joke. Since he has that world famous poker face, I guess the only question is just how gaga is he for his lady? I said it was a shit joke, boy. It's not like I told you it was great. I set it up like that.
No,
so
I get it. It's good pop culture reference.
Yeah, there you go.
People will get it. People definitely.
And
get
also,
it. Whether they laugh is a different question.
Do understand that is my version of trying to like relate to the kid. I'm referencing something 20 years ago again, but whatever. But maybe 10 years on that one. I was closer on that. It was just 10 on that one. But it is weird. Without saying what, 'cause it's on a Valorant show, you won't care anyway. I did today already make a reference to like a service that they had in the UK that you used to watch in the 90s, where if you couldn't watch the game, you could watch it as text on the TV. It was called teletext. And as soon as I referenced it, I realized there's not a chance in hell anyone knows what I'm talking about. Why have I even referenced that? But whatever, it's by the by.
I was watching that all the time when you bet, it just blinks.
That was exactly why.
The score changes, it blinks.
Because the whole point is you're also wanting to know all the games at once. You get it, but you're also a boomer like me. So sorry, that's aged badly, exactly. So and then the joke was, because I said teletext, I went, no, I mean the internet. I had to quickly pivot it, to seem reasonable.
Kassad was getting some of his score updates via Morse code, I think.
There you go. It's coming in on the Telegram. All right. They picked Inferno for next week. Okay, so right, what is coming then, Kassad? Hit me with one of yours. Are you going to do the same? I notice you already set the meta. You're going to start with a more chill take, right?
The thing is, I'm not going to go after teams right now. I went to a different direction for this episode.
Okay.
And the first one.
To be fair, that is because most of your takes are fire everyone. It's true. You have a lot of.
They deserve it. They deserve it. You see what happened to EG and there, Sean's favorite take is just ridiculous. Anyway, the first one is directed more of to TOs, I guess.
Okay.
The major. For example, let's put it like this. Swiss systems are ruining majors when it comes to, the greatness of the playoffs, for example, right? We have these weird seedings, we have these weird matchups in the first round, second round, third round, whatever. And I think now is the time to let go of them. The Swiss systems should not be used anymore in any kind of event. We have the GSL right now that hasn't been used. I think it's a very valid system that can go back. We have other options too, but people are very familiar with GSL. So we can use 4 groups of 4 teams, proper seeding. If you win twice in a best of 3, you get through the playoffs. If you lose twice, you're out. It's very, effective system to be used on the majors, and you can get a much stronger playoffs. In the arenas, that you can get more legendary matches. We can get more. In the last 2 years, what was the most legendary match? It was Navi and FaZe in Cologne, right? And I don't remember any other.
Probably.
It's that's the only memorable match. Especially let's count the majors too. I can't remember anything.
I actually think, by the way, in general, if you think about the era of the Swiss systems, a lot of the playoffs are a bit ropey, like you're saying.
Yeah, it was fine when they introduced it, something fresh, something new. They botched it with seedings and, the round matchups.
Yeah.
And now it just sticks. It's just still there. 5 years later, it's still there. And if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be used in Paris too. But, there is absolutely no need. We have 16 teams in the first stage. We have 16 teams in the second stage. Just get the proper seeding based on the rankings. Valve started doing their own regional rankings and all that shit. That it's kind of in a phase 1. And if they do it properly, they can make their own, seedings and make their own groups. GSL system. We have the best 8 teams in the actual playoffs and get some legendary matches on majors. That's for one. But also the other trios can take over too.
All right, yeah, I'll take this first because I know Thorin's going to have a lot of ideas about formats and how that all works. I would say the main thing, I would probably favor a GSL also. In fact, I think it's hard for me to even come up with the cases to stick with Swiss over GSL. The main thing that's concerning about GSL is always just when is there a group of death, and then there's somehow 3 teams that are in one group, and it feels like they should have been spread out a little bit more evenly. But that to me is just kind of more of a seeding issue. If you can have teams that we think are ranked 1 through 8 in 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, or whatever, just in 4 different groups, then it shouldn't be a big deal. And so, I think that Swiss has so consistently given us very odd playoffs. I think we got pretty lucky actually at Antwerp, for example, that we got the Navi phase final that we so desperately wanted. But you kind of look at some of the teams that also made it through, and I don't know if you would have necessarily said that those were the
Copenhagen Flames is the obvious one, right?
Yeah. I don't know if teams 6, 7, and 8 necessarily were the best always. So that's where it's always concerning. But yeah, I think GSL is really good, and they should really consider it again. And I think I love the fact that you bring up just the way that they're seeding or they're like ranking teams now, because I think you could probably use that if it's effective enough to just seed them into the GSL itself.
Okay. Right, I've got a few takes, like you said, on this one. First of all, I'll just do my role as the historian. The key part here that you have to understand as to how we ended up in this mess, as to where people thought Swiss was the best format, is because it stupidly did seem better if you know the format we had before. So here's what people need to remember, right? The Swiss system, the first major to use it, was actually the one that Astralis won. It was the E-League Atlanta major. Now, if you remember, the major prior to that, if you might remember, was my first back with ESL. It was ESL1 Cologne. Now, ESL1 Cologne, famously, because they still had the fucked scenario where we're not allowed real seeding, they had a GSL group, but it was a group of death. You remember, it was the one that had SK Gaming, Fnatic, fucking G2. By the way, those were like 3 of the top 5 teams in the world. And then the 4th team was FaZe, which didn't have Carrigan yet, but they still had all those like Raid and fucking like Starplay. So that was considered like a totally egregious group. But what people forget was, so Swiss, the best thing about Swiss as a selling point was you can't have a group like that because you can play anyone in the tournament. And, people thought seeding won't matter because, you'll figure it out by playing everyone and winning and losing. And also, the last thing to add is this. One thing they never ever tried at the majors was full best of 3 GSL group. It used to be BO1 until the elimination or the progression match, if you remember. Well, that was the problem. Like, if people remember, before Luminosity got like FNX and Taco and became the top team, they used to always make top 8 at the majors and then just lose the match immediately. That's because they would just win the 2 BO1s. They would just essentially, look, I'm not hating on them. They did a great job. They probably scouted the opponent, figured out what map. Like, we don't have to be good on one map. Essentially, we only have to get like 4 or 5 key gun rounds that you win. You get through. Like, essentially, the problem is, I actually think if we knew what we knew now, you wouldn't do this whole Swiss adventure. You would just make it best of 3s in the GSLs. Because I'll give you the example. I do think GSL group stages at the moment get a bad name because of bloody Blast doing these groups. Because Blast always do them after the bloody player break. So it makes the matches look like these aren't that great. There's all upsets all over the place. Because the first tournament, I want to see this at a major, at the end of the season where people know. Because I think actually upsets, this is the key point to make. When someone gets a BO1 upset, happens at that major, in a Swiss, you feel like, A, why were they playing that team? And then B, it's a BO1. If it's a BO3, even if you get the GSL thing that happened at Blast, like an opening game, someone loses in a shocking fashion, that result feels more legit though, because you knew who you were playing and you probably prepped for them specifically. And props, that is what I want an underdog to do. If you can go on LAN, by the way, and beat like Vitality or so, or Heroic in a best of 3 on LAN, you probably deserve that upset. Those are the upsets I want in Counter-Strike. I even said this about that major. If FaZe had actually lost 3 full best of 3s, I would have complained a lot less. Even if it had been to Cloud9 and not, the top teams they're having to face. But that's the problem. The problem I think is we'd skipped out just going to what essentially everyone wants now, which is just GSL groups of 4 teams. You know who you play in opening match. It's a best of 3. As Kassad said, the best part about the format is you can describe it in like 2 sentences. It's like win 2 best of 3, you're through, lose 2, you're out. Boom. Problem, you know at all times where you are. And then also, look, to be fair, in Swiss, you didn't do this, but the other good thing about GSL group is no one's throwing a game ever. You know what I mean? You just try and win. Like, the format encourages you to try and win every match. Like, you never throw back. You can't play God with someone else's tournament because you're still alive in the tournament. It's not like one of those round robins where you can just not try, but actually, I need you to try so I can win this game. Like, there's none of those shenanigans. So I agree. The reason why the GSL one, best of 3, is the best one to go to moving from Swiss is because it's so simple to understand. It's the best compromise, and crucially, I actually think players would agree with me. If you actually can lose 2 full best of 3s in a reasonably seeded group, you have to just accept you lost. You can't still be complaining then, like, you're not supposed to win every match. The problem I have with the Swiss current setup is a million teams can complain and they're justified. Like, the joke I even made at the last major that a lot of people missed was the Swiss system can even be really unfair to the teams that win. Like, I'll win a match and then I end up playing in like a 1-1 match. I play like FaZe. It's like, how am I? But I won. Like, don't I get a reward for winning? Like, nope. In this case, the random block says you get fucked. Now, everyone laughs if I beat FaZe. But what if FaZe beats me? Why am I playing them second if I'm like Vitality or Cloud9 or something? Like, that's unfair to me. So, to me, the best detail about it is simple to understand, eliminates a lot of the problems, and crucially, you can just accept you lost. At that point, you start wondering about what you did wrong, not the bloody system of the tournament,
Yeah. I mean, best of ones are terrible. Like, we are in a 2023 right now. We still have best of ones. Like, it makes no sense. Just literally makes no sense. We have the schedule. We have the 2 weeks for the majors. We have this long, tournaments. Why the hell are we playing best of ones? It's just why, especially on the major. Like you said before, if it was GSL best of 1, 2 best of 1, you were in. Like, it was just so stupid. But in a full best of 3, it would make more sense. Like you said, the opponents, the seeding is correct. Like, you have your chances. If you lose twice, you definitely shouldn't be there, hoping for the playoffs. If you win twice, you're just through, and we get a decent playoffs. Like you also said, there is no calculating. I'm gonna finish 3rd so I can face the second team, or I'm gonna go 4th to just face this one and avoid this type of bracket. It's just nonsense. It's time to move on. That's the whole point.
Right, here's one for you. The problem with this one is I'm trying to start out on a low level, but I'm also so fucked in the head because I have my own takes. I just follow my own bias. That I do have a hard time always judging how spicy my own take is. So it'll actually be sad if they just agree with me, but we'll see if they do or not. I think this is a bold one. Right, here's my opening gambit. I actually think, even though I do think his team still has flaws, I think as long as his team doesn't completely fuck him, as in they can't come last place in every tournament, you wouldn't be able to do this. As long as the team has enough runs in the tournament, I think at the end of this year, degster will be a top 10 player of 2023. Because here's the key reason why. Because when I watch this player, he actually has a quality with the eye test as an AWPer that I actually think is fairly rare. Most AWPers in the modern day, and I believe actually you can blame s1mple for this. That's why every AWPer now is a m0NESY or a s1mple. They come into the game, and what they do is they just do these crazy flicks like this all the time. And every shot is like, if it hits, you're like, you must be the best player ever. Because like, how's that supposed to have consistency? What I love about degster's game, dude, he has really consistent. Like, I can, no joke, he's one of those players I feel like I can tell if he hits the shot before he hits it or not. It's a bit, this in basketball, Maui. People who have the right form, you just know that player's better no matter what the score on the box score is. Like, you can sort of tell by the aesthetics of it. What I love about degster's game, it's why I think he wins all those 1vx scenarios, is, mate, he reminds me of Brokey's AWPing, but then he has the rest of the AWP as well. He has that like mid-range AWP where you just win 1v3s for fun. You always hit this guy because he's done that far off your screen. You always make that shot. Notice the thing with him is he never overshoots. He's always landing right on them. It's super consistent. But he's also, unlike Brokey, this is why I always said to me, Brokey wasn't a true AWPer. He's also got the rest of the AWP game as well. Like, you can just put him on a traditional AWP spot, really far away. He'll hit all the fucking double scope shot. Mate, I think this guy, like I said, the reason it's a bit spicy is more the OG context. I don't know if OG will allow him to do this, but I think potential-wise, I do think the eye tests are like a motherfucker. I think this, because crucially to me, if you can frag out with the AWPer, you should be the best player anyway. But because he's got that clutch factor, they're going to stick in your mind if this guy has any good performances, mate. That's why Brokey became famous, because he won every bloody clutch for like a year and a half, didn't he? So I don't know how spicy that is to you guys. Because I tried to make it spicy by making it top 10. I'm not just saying you make the top 20. Let's say I think he can be top 10. So I'm sort of saying he's going to do it like a fucking a Nico and Mouse spots it. He's going to have to be way better than his team, obviously. But, where are we coming on this, guys?
It's hard to say exactly where he's going to land, but I think top 20 is fair. I would probably myself be like kind of 15 to 18 range. That's where I think he's going to end up at the end of this year. So 10 is it's a bit strong. Yeah, I think also with the OG fact that this team's probably not going to do as well as they're even doing now in these spring groups. I think that they're probably going to fall off a bit. They're not partners with the ESL Pro League Tour.
That's tough, yeah.
So that's going to make things harder for them. Also, I think like what we're seeing lately from degster is really good, and I will say that what is nice about him is that he does make the game look really easy. I think ZywOo actually said this a long time ago, that degster is the most boring opper ever, and I was like,
okay.
I mean, I myself, when I was looking at degster back on what team was it, Espada or Namiga? I don't know, one of those
just before
kind of
he was
teams.
on,
Yeah, he was. I always really thought that he was just very well positioned, and I thought that it was very, to me, he kind of felt like he was just like one of the smartest guys in the server all the time. It didn't always feel like he had to do it with his aim or mechanics. It was just good positioning and taking the right initiatives a lot of the time, and so that's something I always praise him for. I don't know. Top 10 is going to be really hard to breach. I have a take on the top 20 coming up after this, so like I'll get into something I think is hot there too. But I think. Yeah, I wouldn't put him 10th. I wouldn't put him in the top 10. That's what I'll say.
Too bold, kassad.
Close though.
I will say, by the way, when he says there about the team, to be fair, that is probably, that's why I had to get spicy with the top 10 packs. What I'm sort of saying is, I'll be real. I don't think OG is actually going to be good enough. So I'm sort of saying it'll have to be so much better that I would say he's top 10. Because I agree, if you just look at past top 20s, if your team is what you would expect OG to be, even if you're really good, you're probably 17th, like you said. It's really hard to break IEM. But what are your thoughts, kassad? For real, I mean, like a real top 10 as well.
Does he have the skills to be top 10? Yes, absolutely. He is talented. Is he going to be top 10 or top 15? Absolutely not.
Okay.
Why? Because absolutely, there's no chance.
Okay.
The thing is, like, first of all, the team is not good enough to, make him into top 15 because, like, they have obvious shortcomings, even though they're not playing that bad. Again, they always play so good on Blast. We saw them on different events last year, absolutely nothing. There was no spark, nothing. They played Blast a couple of times. Even with that, what was the event where they used degster as a stand-in, where they reached the semifinals? Was it Blast too?
I think it was also Blast. It was the one where they beat Navi in the opener, right?
Yeah. The thing is, like, they need a couple of more upgrades for them to actually compete in the Pro League, in the majors, in all the Tier 1 events, and then he can perform, like you said, like Nico did in Mouse in 2015, 16, whatever it was, and then he can be in top 10, top 12, whatever. Right now, it's just absolutely no chance. Also, there is a little bit of a stain. You remember what these Spirit guys were talking about, in the last, few months about him and his personality and the things that he did on the server, in the practice room. And I don't know if that is true or not, or they just retaliate to what he said about them before that, or it's just back and forth between them talking shit to each other, or it's actually truth. If there is truth in what they said, then it's a big red flag. And if that's true, that is absolutely, no matter what OG does, he's not going to make it into top 10 with that kind of attitude, if he has it, right? So there's a couple of red flags, like you said, OG being, not good enough right now to compete on this high level and getting deep into the playoffs is just going to prevent him to play more matches, against these top tier teams and the top tier players. And that will stop him ultimately to be, top 10 player of 2023. So I don't think it's going to happen. Actually, I'm pretty sure it's not going to happen.
Fair enough. Okay. Right, it's your turn then, Maui. What's your next take?
Yeah, so this is another top 20 inspired take, I guess, is that I do not think for 2023 s1mple will finish in the top 3.
Oh, wait a minute. He didn't even say top 3. Okay.
No.
Are you going to oblige us with 3 names that are going above him? Or are you just going to... You don't have to.
I think it's pretty easy to just pick people that were just right behind him, actually. And I think that ZywOo is going to do better than him. I think Brokey could actually do better than him.
Right, wait a minute. I think we've already created the greatest hot take already in this episode. That line alone, because you have to realize you've entered like Freakazoid territory that whole book. Keep going, man.
Okay, okay. I think these are all potential. So I'm saying he's not going to finish in the top 3, but I'll give more than 3 names that I think would finish. Okay. If I had to pick 3 that are going to finish in the top 3 right now, it would probably be Shiro, ZywOo, and Nico. That's who I would say is my top 3.
They're pretty safe.
It's a pretty, it's super far away to actually, and we haven't even seen Shiro play this year, but I think that you get those 3, you add in Axile, you add in potential for Brokey, I think there's just like also the chance Monacy does better than him this year.
Keep going.
I think
I love it.
Okay. The main thing is that basically, right now, it just feels like s1mple and Navi are in a position right now where they're just so hung up on the fact that they're rebuilding, and they know that. And that's why it just seems like the motivation that they've taken into this spring.
It's definitely something they talk about in all the interviews.
Yes.
They always frame it that way. Yeah.
That's what I'm playing at here. It's the fact that Navi right now are in a position where it just seems like they're almost like giving themselves more time to get better. And usually I've never really heard this kind of approach from Navi where, sometimes Blade will be like, we're not good enough yet or something, but he's not like, oh, give us 2 tournaments and then we'll see what we need to do from here. And I think s1mple himself is kind of cooling it off a little bit because he knows that the team isn't in a position to compete for trophies. And that's why I think that he'll take his foot off the gas just enough, whereas everybody else is so hungry right now. All these other names that I'm saying, they're the ones that are really trying to compete for the Katowice trophy, for the Blast Major trophy. I just don't think Navi's really in the running, and it's almost kind of like the degster point, but just for a team that should have championship aspirations. It's kind of like they're just pulling themselves out of the race almost by going for this NPL project, and we're still seeing the flaws in Electronic as a leader.
But just before we jump in, is there actually anything specifically, like, do you actually think also s1mple's form is going to drop off compared to past years?
It's just that it's not like blowing us away at the spring groups. That's kind of it.
He's definitely not hard carried, of course. Yeah, of course.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
Yes.
he's still really good. He's obviously still really good. It's a hot take that he's not going to be a top 3 player.
Of course.
Like
the whole point of the show is a hot take. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It's all good. Kassad, come on then, hit me. Because I know, here's the thing, Kassad, I could read your face, mate. You were like me, you were like, oh, mixed bit, maybe Nico. But then when he said Brokey and then Monacy, like, come on, hit me with the take,
like,
come on.
Brokey, like, you can just scratch that one. There is no chance that
he doesn't even like dignify that, exactly.
Yeah, I'm not going to address that one. Honestly, yes. I mean, yeah, okay.
Sure, it's possible.
I can see that. I mean, ZywOo did it in a rookie year. Why the hell not? He's good, honestly, kid. So, but it's a very bold prediction based on one event that you saw this year, right? Yes, did Navi get outplayed? Absolutely, by G2 twice in the last few days. Did s1mple play good? No, as he can, absolutely not. But it's still so early. We know that s1mple plays his absolute best CS when he gets into these big events, big stages, something that he feels comfortable, against other people who are not so comfortable when it comes to the Spodek or, Lanxess arenas or majors or everything. He's going to destroy all of those people. And he's going to definitely be in the top 3 this year. I don't know if he's going to be number 1 or 2 or 3, simply because the points that you made about Navi and their NPL project and, obviously Electronic not being sufficient enough in the IGL role, which they didn't change for some reason. I don't know what the hell are they doing, but that's another topic. But I don't think he's going to be out of top 3 simply because it's s1mple. I think he has like at least 2 or 3 more years like that in him. And they just need to get a little bit, in shape when it comes to the team and get their, ducks in a row. And he's going to be fine, especially when you come to, events like Kato, Cologne, all these like big events, IEMs that they're going to be participating, majors. He's going to be just fine. And this is just a product right now that he's playing with just because of this rough situation that Navi is in right now when it comes to the new player and the IGL. I still don't know why are they not, getting a proper IGL or trying to, remove Electronic at least from that spot, because he's obviously, struggling more than expected.
What I'll say about this is, right, As an abstract point, Maui, it's a totally legitimate point. Like, any player could easily miss the top 3 in the fucking world for the year. Like, that, by the way, you could be like Nico and still have a good year, but just be like 5th. Like, that's nothing wrong with that. You're still a great player. You could be in a league in the past years when they come like top 10 or whatever. Like, that's all good. But here's the problem. I get that you've picked the wrong name, my dude. Any other name, I would be with you. Like, maybe ZywOo just has a bad period. Maybe Nico has some problems with the IGL. Maybe Shiro and Axel, the team fails. But the problem is, you literally did pick the fucking Neo in the Matrix of CSGO. And so all I'll do, first of all, before we get into like the side details, I'll just give you some stats. So number 2 player of 2022, and by the way, a lot of people agreed, was ZywOo, right? A lot of people, did you have him as your number 2, Maui?
Yeah, I would have had ZywOo.
Here's something interesting for you, right? This was, you remember, for ZywOo, it was the first part of the year wasn't as good. He got heated up, where S1mple was the opposite, right? He was super hot at the beginning, then he cooled off. This is the first 6 months of 2022. The stats for ZywOo, number 2 player of the year. He had a 1.21 rating. He had 0.6 deaths per round, and he had 0.78 kills per round. So not super over like you'd expect, but it's a very good stats. And that first 6 months, combined with the other 6, got him second in the world, right? This last 6 months where we're all like, S1mple's off his game. He's, what's going wrong with him? Is it the outside the game circumstances? Is he not happy with he had his family situation? He was separated, right? We're all hitting the panic button. We're all like, what's going on with S1mple? This is S1mple's last 6 months stats. 1.19 rating. 0.61 deaths per round, 0.78 KPR. So his shit 6 months was ZywOo's first 6 months. What I'm pointing out here is, S1mple really is that dude. Like, his down period is like about 2 other people in the whole world can go, yeah, I'm better than you. Like, that's his down period. So my only problem is this, Maui. True, any player can have a bad year, but if there's one player, that's why you're right, it is a hot take. It's a hell of a hot take. But like, if there's one player I would bet again, I would say he's going to make it. That's the problem. He's going to. And the Na'Vi angle's not a bad one, but the problem with that one is they just got too many good pieces. Like, they can sort of like, they could almost like fuck it up 4 times and eventually accidentally find a good lineup with that team. Maybe the IGL one kills it, but I think it'll work. But it's like, it's a good hot take. I just don't buy it myself.
So one
and the
thing
Modesty one, I have to say, look, I know G2 might be really good, but the Modesty one feels like haterism. Because that's like, if anything, you should have made it spicier. You should have just said, S1mple will be the 2nd best Ukrainian opera in 2023. That's a fucking banger right there.
Wait, Modesty's Russian, though.
Oh, sorry. I mean, CIS one or whatever.
Okay, yeah, sure.
CIS one, just switch it to that.
Yeah, sure. But, okay, I'll say that...
Well, biology, you'd be 3rd best there. There you go. You'd have Shiro and Bonus ahead of him.
Yeah, actually, that's right.
That's the spicy take. 3rd best CIS opera.
I mean, I could have said he'll finish outside the top 2, but I actually do see a world where a couple of those guys do pass him.
Yeah,
not just 1 or 2. But
listen, don't worry, Maui. I'm going to have some mental takes later. Don't even worry about that.
One little addendum to this is just that I think Navi's just in such a bad position because of the fact they're sticking to only Ukrainian players that they're going to add to their team. If they had the option to get Russian players, then I think Blade would just find the guy, and I think that they would be competing consistently top 4 in practically every single tournament, if not winning them. But I think that's
confirmed.
No, but it's just what people suspect. If you look at the pattern, they're never linked with anyone Russian. Like, even the last rumor was that Buster was going to join them. Do you remember that one last year? The reason kassad, why I assume it's true, is because they've never been linked with a Russian player. They've only had rumors they removed the Russian players, and then spoiler, remember the last major playoffs? Like, half the players in the whole playoffs were Russian. Like, the joke would be that would be the number 1 region you'd be targeting right now, isn't it? Like, all the talent's coming out of there.
Isn't Electronic Russian as well? Like,
no, he is, but like, it's just they haven't removed him, though, have they? You know what I mean?
That's the thing. Like, what stops them from actually getting another Russian player?
Well, that's it. Well, look, without making this too much of a speculative side tangent, I always wondered on that one, particularly myself, kassad, like why I always wondered if that was like a S1mple move, like keep S1mple happy. You know what I mean? Because if you notice, S1mple does always like he sort of does the Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen thing. He always gives like full credit to Electronic and sort of because he knows what it was like to be the 1-man carry. So I wonder if they just keep S1mple happy with that. That part of me does wonder if they ever just remove the Russians, mate. If they ever get bad, I wonder about it myself.
I mean, we are going to be sliding into political subject which we want to avoid. Yeah. But the thing is, like, they you're in a rough spot right now,
Sure.
no matter what they do. But we don't know. Like, let's say they decide to, add more Russian players if
If it's possible, yeah.
if it's possible, yes. And then we don't know what's gonna happen in Cloud9 in 3 months. Maybe they turned out to be shit. Maybe they can in somewhere in April get another player that's gonna elevate their game to what it was before, and then we have S1mple being on his best performance from April to the end of the year, and that's more than enough to be number 1 or 2 or 3, So it's a big stretch him not being in top 3 this year, but we'll see, I guess.
Right, come on then, Kassad. What's your next take?
Yeah, the next one I'm gonna be directing my attention to the game a little bit, and I'm gonna say that we have the worst map pool in the history of all versions of CS. So people obviously who don't know the earlier parts, they should not try to understand, but focus on the CS:GO. And right now we have 7 maps, and more than a half are just absolute shit. When you take Anubis, for example, it's a new map. It's about 3 updates away from being an actually competitive map and that can be played in the LAN events. We all know that every time you add a map, like you need at least 4 or 5 updates to actually make it, balanced. Right now, it's super unbalanced. The CTs are terribly cramped up into the sites, and they cannot go aggress anywhere. You take example of Cobblestone, the earlier version, where you can, on A site, you can go side calls and take that space and maybe contain it a little bit early on because you get there before the T's and have some real estate on the map. Right now on Anubis, you can't do shit on CT. You can do that one-way smokes on B and all these kind of little things that are very obvious, and it's overall a shit map. Then we have Ancient, that it's not ready yet. They changed the spawns. Now the T's are getting everywhere first. Cave, middle, then the box on the catwalk, the A main, everywhere they're just getting earlier, and it's very, again, cramped up. The CTs can't do shit. That's another bad, map. We have Vertigo that most of the people don't like to play because it's a one style kind of map where you can brawl and that's it. There's no structure. There's no like crazy defaults like in the other maps. So people don't like it there. And then we obviously have Overpass, which is the most boring map in the history of every game that ever was created. Not just Counter-Strike. So it's just so wide, you need 3,000 flashes to get anything done, and then, obviously there is a little bit more space for the CTs, but then the Ts are so stretched, it's so wide, and, just take example of you taking long and balloons and, all this area, you need to use 14 flashes, and then you get into a site that is nothing. Have you ever seen in the last 2 years of Overpass anything change meta-wise? Like a single thing. Has anybody invented anything in 2 years of Overpass? Absolutely zero. Nothing. The map is boring and should be cut out. And then after that, the 5th one is Mirage, which people are just crying about to be updated, changed, swapped, whatever for the past 3 years now.
Ages, yeah.
Yeah, they added that bench in the last update, and a little bit of switch ups, but it's still not enough. People hate it. So, and then we have Nuke and Inferno, which are great maps, especially Nuke. So overall, we have 7 maps, and the 5 ones are just not to people's likings. People hate it, players hate it, and they're unfinished. They are very disbalanced. It's just terrible right now. We have the worst map pool in the history of Counter-Strike ever.
Well, I can't really go back to. I mean,
just do CS:GO like he said. It's all good.
Yeah, I'll do CS:GO. Okay, do CS:GO. Okay, well, I'll just say the only thing I would say that competes with it in terms of poor map pools was like kind of back to the first major where I think the nuke back then was very bad. I think the old nuke was not. I do not think that nuke was very good at all. It was 5 maps, by the way. It was Nuke, Dust 2, Inferno, Train, Mirage. I think that was also the old Train where you could just see underneath the trains. I hated that one. I hated the old nuke. But then I actually think that when you kind of go with over half of them, because it's only 5, it feels like it's a lot. Nuke and Train being really bad in my eyes. But then actually, Dust 2, back then, I don't think people really hated it. People kind of liked it, actually. Yeah, it was good back then. It actually played some pretty interesting matches here and there. Inferno was just all-time great.
It's always been good.
Yeah, and then Mirage, even though I'm pretty sure that was like was that the Strike version, or I'm not sure, but it was like, I think Mirage has actually been good for a while. I actually think the argument that it's stale is pretty much just like that's just that I don't really think that holds up. Like that's just saying like an old movie stale. Like what does that even mean? You know, that's just a bad argument for something that should be judged. So I think like when you say that, okay, I'll take it like this. Ancient, I agree is bad. Vertigo, I agree is bad. I think Overpass I used to like a lot more, but I can see why people don't like it. But I can say that what was it? What are the other ones? Anubis is just new, and I think that it could get better. So I think that's a very fair point because I think Anubis is really already like has the bones of a very good map. But I do think it could use a couple tweaks. It just got some, and I haven't seen those play out in the pro meta yet, so I don't know what those are going to do yet. And then what's the other kind of new one?
Ancient.
Yeah, Ancient's bad. So what? Ancient, Vertigo, Anubis, kind of like iffy. And then you're saying Overpass. I don't really buy the Overpass one myself. So, but like actually that is still better. 3 out of 7 is better than 2 out of 5. Like that's just a greater percentage. So I think actually you might be right.
The problem with this one is right. To be fair, kassad slightly overstretched there by saying all of Counter-Strike because even though I made him like Group does as a boomer, I was there in the beginning of the 2000s. Like technically he means like the end of 1.6 where it had a set map pool, kind of like the beginning of CSGO where it was like the big 5 famously. I mean, sure, they added in that stupid one that was like Cobble, if you remember this, which should never have been there, but whatever. We'll forget that one, Forge or whatever it was called at the end, if you remember. But obviously, yeah, I agree. The era when we had the big 5 was probably the best ever. It was the most standard VTORs. Every map was legit. Like if people don't know, in 1.6, the big 5 maps like Dust 2, Train, they were all fucking bangers. Every one of them was good. It was more just like, was your team good on it? You never complained about the map. You just said like, my team doesn't like Nuke, for example. You never said Nuke's a bad map. Like they did, but the key thing I was going to say was, technically, at the beginning of Counter-Strike, like CS 1.6, when it wasn't even 1.6, the CPL did used to use tournaments where they used like fucking like Prodigy and stuff and Aztec. So technically that would win worse. But I agree. You would just expand it out. For CSGO, I agree completely because I'll go from the whole game. At the beginning, like Maui says, the original, we started with like 5 again. That was just legit. Again, it was like everyone knew what was good, what was bad. It was like which team you're on. They added in cash initially, but that was like fucking, oh my God. But like eventually that one became fine. It was like in the middle of the pool for everyone. I agree. The Cobble and Overpass ones, when it first came in, that's why actually this takes a pretty spicy one for kassad, but it's right. When they first came in, when they were just putting that major, ESL Cologne, the one that did one, that was a disgrace. They were bad maps. But even that isn't as bad as the map pool now, in my opinion, because the other 5 maps were great. They were all good back then. There was no bad maps. So the problem is, like you say, when you run through them all, you don't even have to go with the Overpasses, the Mirage, which are more like preference picks, whether people like them or not. I think everyone, except the teams that are really good on Anubis, Vertigo, and fucking Ancient, would all agree. That's what always gives it away to me is this. Obviously, the guy whose permaban it is going to go, that's a bad map. And the guy who picks it is going to go, no, it's good. Like the old MSL cobblestone argument back in the day. What gives it away is this, Maui. It's all the pros in the middle. The ones who like it would be in the middle of their map pool. Dude, if I actually have like Anubis as my like 4th best map or Ancient or something, and I still don't ever want to play it, that's a really bad sign. Like the game's telling me I should play it. My style's telling me I should play it. The map pool is, but if I don't want to, that's why I've always said the map that has never gotten over with fans is Vertigo. Ancient is still fairly new. Anubis is brand new. Nobody, except the teams that are amazing on Vertigo, likes Vertigo. Nobody. I mean, maybe to play in public. That's another thing that I always thought muddied that discussion. A lot of people, I think, just like playing it in matchmaking. They find it a fun map to play. I think it will go down in history as the worst map to watch ever. I mean, we've now seen years of it, guys. Remember, like, dude, kassad's teams would play in that map like 3 years ago or something, 4 years ago. It's had its time. Like, if it was going to make the evolution that some of the other maps did, Cobblestone, over, and they become really good, it would have done it already. Like, it just can't be fixed, that map, in my opinion. So that one, combined with the fact that Ancient's still a bit whack, and then you throw in a new map, it's not the fault of Anubis. I agree with you guys. It could maybe be good in like a month or two. It actually looks half decent. But you can't have that plus all those shit maps. Like you say, at a minimum, that means like almost half the map pool is shit. And then I'll just add in a quick take, because I know people often do go like, no, Mirage should be the one removed. It's like, I don't know why anyone says that unless it's like your permaban or something. Because the thing with Mirage is, I'll use this analogy. Mirage to me now is like that old Dust 2 you were talking about. Dude, no one complained about the non-rework Dust 2, because the thing with Dust 2 is you just know exactly what you're going to get and you just lean into it. So the old Dust 2, if people don't know, is the dream map if you have like a one-man rifle carry. If you have Shocks or fucking Nico or something like that, you just put them on that map and you go, brilliant, we're going to play like a little bit of loose CS, we're going to get these guys their duels, and we're going to win. That's what Mirage is to this day. Like, you know what people always bring up about Mirage? They always go, those VP smokes from like 8 years ago, well, that can't be the defining factor, guys. There's more to a map than that. Like, spoiler, certain fucking smokes or nukes still work half a decade later. Like, so I think the Mirage ones are fucking, the joke is it is a Mirage, that you've just fucking got caught up in that one point. It's never been the worst map. At worst, it should always be in the middle of the map pool for everyone. Come on. There's another thing. Where are the fucking Mirage banners? Let me know about that. If that map sucks so bad and there's no innovation, where are all the people who perma Mirage? Tell you what, it's a bit like Inferno, Maui. You'll have a hard time in history finding anyone who permits that fucking map, because that implies, and this is a key point to tie back into those other maps, that implies even if you do think Mirage sucks, you're like, at least I know how to play it. Dude, that's a massive fucking factor for the pro scene. I know people, I am not exaggerating, maybe Kassad can talk. I've known pros where the win rate said they were good on the map. You watch them beat a top team, you're like, you're good on this map. And then in private, you tell them, why don't you ever play that map? And they're like, nah, we don't feel comfortable. Like, we don't. Dude, that could be like maps where they're top 10 teams in the world. Like, that's a bad sign. Obviously, there's outliers and there's people who aren't good at maps. But I think as a general trend, like, I think everyone's coming around to this one. It is a hot take because obviously you made it for the whole of history. But I think in the current map pool, I think a lot of people agree this map pool fucking sucks.
The thing is, like, just to remind you, for the old Mirage you remember the Mirage C?
That the one that had the wooden shit instead of the...
Yeah, there was like a jungle type, like A-site, all these things, and then they changed it into a new one, which was significantly better.
That was like Strike, right? I think it was
that was the one in 1.6 is what it was called. He means the first version of CSGO was like a slightly different...
underscore
textures.
See. So the thing is, like, if I want to change Mirage, I don't need to like take it out of the map. Or, for example, change the configuration of the boxes on A-site. That's good enough.
Yeah.
You know, it will change the plans. It will change the executes. It will change the CT.
I actually think, by the way, that
whatever,
is I'll go one further. It's not only not a bad map. I actually think fundamentally Mirage is a very well designed map. You know, when people used to joke that like, oh, bloody Inch is just a retake simulator. Mirage is a good retake simulator. Those are the retakes I want to see. Think in your brain, all the greatest 2vx are on that fucking map on CT side. Like, that's where Olaf Meister and Crims made their name. Like, you know what I mean? Pick any of them. ZywOo, fucking Rain, like they're all winning the clutches on that map. It's the best, but it's actually low key. It's not the best map ever because it is simplistic. But some maps can be simplistic and be good. Obviously, not every map has to be fucking super in depth. You wouldn't want that in the game.
Next to Inferno, it's the best design map in CS:GO. Like obviously it comes before, but like the structure of it. But you know, it's fine, you know, to do it like on the CT side, T side. Like you can do all of the things. So it's very well designed.
Right, here we go. This is that hot? Let me just touch it. Oh, that that hurts. Right, so you might know that Cloud9 has just removed Inters and brought in Buster, which is pretty wild because Cloud9's not going to make a single big LAN final all of this year. Ooh! Oh, hello. Oh, that's perked you up a little bit. What was that? Oh, that wasn't a fucking sugar pill. That was Viking it. I'll have some more of this play. Because here's the problem with this move. One, has anyone seen Buster recently? He hasn't played in a million fucking years. And let's be real, because that team famously was like right in the middle of the online period, they were insane, that Virtus Pro team, and then they sort of gradually went down as we came to LANs. And then he just disappeared because they made those moves last year, 2022, and no one heard of him since. So the problem with that is the last time Buster was really good, I'm not exaggerating, it was like about 2+ years ago. It might even be more. Like the time he was probably the best of that team was probably 4 years ago. Right? Guys, we're not talking about a guy who's like just in FPL banging everyone out now, like Monacy or fucking Wonderful. Like this is someone where we're already hoping he's going to transform back to past form. Then let's add in, I have no clue what fucking role they think he is going to play in their team. Because I'm really scared that because they sort of, I think, scapegoated Inters, I'm scared that they're just like, you are the new Inters, and he just takes his roles. Because I think that's dumb as fuck. Like, to me, what I would do if I'm Cloud9 is, look, I might sign Bust. He's not a terrible player. He was once a very good player. But I would just reformulate the whole team. I'd take, like, Shiro and Nax, I'll put them well. I'd figure the rest out. I don't think they will. So in my opinion, I don't believe in the Nefani one. I'm not quite as far as Maui, but I do think he's clearly not a top IGL. Like, he's now had too many chances. I've seen too many games that he just called into a brick wall, as it were. And the joke was, it wasn't the fault of the players. Like, sometimes they would be in impossible situations where they would have to be like, it's like she wrote that major. The joke was, Cloud9 probably shouldn't even have gotten out that first Swiss system. Shiro just decided, like, actually, I will just show you how good I am at CSGO. Let me just shoot everyone when trapped. And then, wow, we won these matches. Like, so I think, genuinely, I don't know, even though, the reason why this is a hot take for me, by the way, is because I did think, unlike Heroic, that if Cloud9 kept that lineup together, I thought eventually it's going to take over. Like, with the firepower they have, which is insane in those two star players, and even Hobbit, if he's your third best, mate, you've got a fucking fire lineup there. I thought eventually they were going to take over. Eventually, not an IEM down. I thought eventually they'll make like a run at a major. Like, I thought this last major, maybe that's it. Maybe you go to the final. The fact that they've bombed it so many times, I don't think they're like that close. I think actually there's some fundamental flaw in that team. And I think that it doesn't fix it, just add Buster. So I'm going to say they don't make a single final.
I love it. I love the take because I've kind of, I'm one of the bigger Cloud9 haters out there, mostly for Nefani though, not for the players, obviously, not for everybody else. I think that with Buster, it's kind of, it's really hard to imagine this move doing anything, because when he was good for VP, aka, well, a Vanguard, he was never really great for VP. He was good when they were a Vanguard. He was so aggressive. He was like first in, second in a lot of the time. And then when he had to switch roles, because basically when Yakindar came in, they made Buster and Sanji kind of these like supportish sort of players. And once they took out Sanji and put in Flit, Buster got all the worst roles. And then you look at his year in 2022, and it was the worst year of his career by far. He had even, I think, worse I'll look to be sure about this claim, but I'm pretty sure he had worse numbers in that year than Inters did. And so if they expect him to do that role like 1-to-1, I don't understand. Okay, yeah, he literally had yes, he had worse numbers than Inters last year on LAN. So I don't know how you expect him to be the guy that's going to do better than Inters when he was basically playing the same roles, but worse individually. So unless they think that somehow he was doing everything right in the system and he wasn't getting enough stats for it, then I don't know how this even can make sense. And so this is almost, in some ways, it's a downgrade if they're not going to actually change positions here.
Yes.
It's not just some, it's absolutely a downgrade. I agree with you. I think it's a dumb move that they made. I think it was not well thought of. I think in terms of firepower, I think Buster is sharper than Inters in terms of shooting. Can he kill more people? Yes. Can he do what Inters did on the server? No fucking chance. What Inters did on this, like the bad positions on bomb sites and everything, that he had to, like, a supportive role do as for his team that's not being seen by the audience because everybody's looking at Shira and Exile and Shira and Exile and Hobbit. So it kind of stays in the background. People don't see it, but it was very important to the system they were, having in this successful year and a half ahead. I agree with you with Nefani. I think as much as I defended him, I like the way he was playing aggressive, and he had some innovative things at the beginning. They became stale. They didn't adapt to anything, and I think that is the main reason why they fell off. Are they gonna reach a final this year? Are we counting only IEMs and Pro Leagues?
Big events, yeah, exactly. Not like some pinnacle championship type garbage, yeah, of course. Like real LANs.
Yeah, I think that's a valid take, to be honest, considering the competition that we have right now. If Nefani keeps his methods the same, he doesn't adapt, he doesn't upgrade, he doesn't get more creative together with his coach and the team to actually go out of this stale mode they're playing right now, there's absolutely no way they go into any finals this year, especially now when they they kicked one of their key elements in their system, not for the fragging, but for the actual setting up all those players to do what they want. Let's see what happens when Buster creates a gap where there was advantage, what Inters did for them. Let's see who's going to take over that gap to fill it up so there is a void on the other part of the map, which you can exploit against them. So it's a very questionable move. I said dumb. Maybe that was too strong, but questionable to say at least, to actually change Inters for someone like Buster. If they went for a new talent or something, something a little bit more fresher in terms of, players, rather than Buster, who was pretty good in 2018, 19. He was decent together with Kickert. He was, the primary firepower in that team. If that happened before, then yes. If they got something younger, then yeah. Right now, I don't believe it. So I'm gonna agree with you, Duncan, with the hot take.
Does anyone have another take? Go on.
Yeah, I have one. This is my one that I really saved because it's. I put in some dumb research into this one to make it work. Okay, I put in some ridiculous research, some esoteric diggings to find this one. Okay. Imagine a farm boy that's used to the cleanest air quality around. Okay, he's always in his bubble. He's playing Counter-Strike. He becomes one of the greatest players, arguably contending with the GOAT to be the best out there. And you throw him in smoggy, coal-burning Katowice, and he always plays worse. I'm talking about ZywOo. Every time he plays in Kato,
this is the maddest angle I've ever heard.
He drops
You're
off.
doing some great ZywOo stand work right now, I'll tell you that. So go on, hit me with it.
He drops off a cliff. He drops off a cliff when he goes to Kato. So his big events, LAN ratings in his career, 1.28. When ZywOo's been playing at Kato, first of all, Vitality has never finished in the top 8 of Katowice since he's joined this team when it's on LAN. Yep. And so these are his ratings. 2019, he had a 1.14. In 2020, he actually had a 1.24, still beneath his big event average, but very respectable. 2022 hit a 1.10. I looked back at the air quality index data of Katowice during these times, and in 2020, it was actually there were no dark red and red days for air quality, but in these 2019 and 2022 ones, when he's having these sub 1.2 ratings, he actually there were all these red days, orange days, yellow days, dark red days in that time period, and so he's playing worse when the air quality is worse in Kato. And so the hot take here is that I've been looking at the air quality lately in Katowice, and it's not looking that bad right now. It's looking pretty good. It's moderate/good. And I think that ZywOo is going to have his best Katowice ever, and Vitality is going to have their best Katowice ever because the air quality of the city is improving.
Right, all I'll say is this. I'll just quickly jump in for a joke, which is that's why s1mple will always be the GOAT, because he comes from Ukraine. So.
Well, I was gonna do a
joke, but he's gonna. He's good. The joke, by the way, similar joke though, because I thought the same thing. I thought s1mple was just raised in the toxicity when he just that is where he grew up in. So it's like, what are you talking about? This is a normal day for me. ZywOo, fucking literally suck up that oxygen. Just fucking get playing. That is a mad. Look, I can't lie. That is probably some of the best ZywOo stand related. Aside from when you had him, s1mple not even top 3 and then ZywOo number 1. When you actually figured out it was the air quality, which is now the new corp. That's pretty good. Go on, Kassad, hit me. What do you think?
The thing is right, let's get serious right here. The thing is in the past years compared to this one, does he have the better pieces to perform better? When it comes to Vitality and the French lineup,
most people would say so, yeah.
Yeah, so the stage is set, for him to actually. I had another one, but it's fine. The stage is set, for him to actually play better on this one, rather than the last ones. I think this lineup of Vitality is stronger than the French one, in every aspect of the game. Tactically, firepower, strategically, whatever you wanna put in there. And I think if he doesn't do better this year, then I'm gonna agree with Mau, and it's about the air. So yeah.
Okay. Do you have a last take, Kassad?
No.
No, I've got one. I've got one to close the show with. So this one is going to be, it's not like the craziest spicy one. I probably should have done the Cloud9 one or something if I wanted to end up. But I think it's still a good one, which is when I was thinking of all the players who played really well last year. And obviously, notice when we're talking about top X, we're always trying to frame it of will your team allow you to actually get the placings you deserve? I actually think I know a player from last year who was highly rated, who, this is the take, at the end of 2023, this will be the consensus opinion. And by the way, it's going to be amazing when people rewind this video and find this clip. And Thorin knew all along. Then everyone, no, he doesn't. He just guessed. He said a lot of things over the years. All right, by the way, motherfucker. Just go check. s1mple, ZywOo, Nico. Them are players. You had fucking Fallen. That's your player. You had fucking, I don't know, pick another one. Fucking Flusher. You have a fucking cheater, mate, I think, allegedly, in a video game, Minecraft. Yeah, exactly. You all picked the shit players, mate. I picked the bangers. So here's the take. At the end of 2023, the actual take will be that KSCERATO is hostage in Furia, and it will be save KSCERATO. Now, the reason I say that is even though he's got Yuri, he was good as well, mate, and Drop's all right. I've got to tell you right now, that team, I think, is in fucking trouble this year. Like, I think their run at the major was the best case scenario. And even then, didn't he make the final pro? Like, so I think this year, KSCERATO eye test, incredible. I actually think year on year, he's one of those only players. He's one of those players that is going to go down as an all-time great rifler because year on year, he gets better. Like, the eye test already was good, but it just gets better and better every year. You saw that last major, he was just, he was going to, the joke is that play you could have dropped in any team, he would have done the same thing. He would have just shot people in the head with his crosshair. It wasn't about, like, no one was setting him up. No one was like, oh, KSCERATO, like, I'm out here, like, here's how I'm going to use you in this game. Like, the joke is, if anything, Art was just like, he's dropping 30, cool. Like, didn't even know what he was doing there. Like, because if you remember, he would just like push out, take the first fight, headshot the first guy, kill the second guy. So I think Furia I think it's going to be a whack team this year. I don't have high expectations at all. So I don't think they can make a lot of deep runs. So I think at the end of the year, even though from eye test might be like, oh my God, see, KSCERATO's like the 6th best player. He's going to end up like the 18th, like we were saying before. He's going to be ELO held, in my opinion. And the reason why that's also a controversial opinion is because obviously a lot of people are fans of Brazilian CS and Furia is super popular. Notice most people haven't, like a lot of the analysts, sort of tipped over on Art and these players. They still give it, a lot of people still just think, it's fine. They're good players. Like, I think that cause run its course. It's been around for years now, guys. And even adding in players who do have talent, like I said, it doesn't fundamentally change it. And that safe thing, that's never going to work. I've seen it too much now, guys. He's just going to be the same as what he was now. So I don't know how Furia can make like top 4s and stuff, which he'll need to have to, because I think he's going to be, it's not as extreme, but he's going to be like akin to a Nico on mouse spots back in the day. He's going to be so much better than his team. Like, I think it's going to be sad. So is that spicy enough for you?
I think we're already there. Yeah, you go, Maui.
I've been back and forth on, do I consider Nafany a poor man's Art or Art a poor man's Nafany?
Okay, that's a hell of a dilemma. It's a Sophie's choice, really, isn't it, Maui? I know. Like,
right. The third in that was the pre-DJL Hampus. I would say that he's kind of in this trifecta.
The ultimate fraud. By the way, that is one of my favorite IGLs of all time. Like, he's doing a good job as the IGL. Why? Look at all these 12-3 Infernos they're winning, and then they're winning the map 16-40. Like, what are you talking about, you mad cunt? Like, that was the most fraudulent IGL of all time. Because the joke is, you remember, he in every interview would like stress, like, I shouldn't really be in IGL. Like, it's like in every interview he'd say that, wouldn't he? And then the NIP was just like, no, this is the NIP system. Like, welcome our IGL Hampers. Like, but yeah, you're right. Those are the big 3 for sure.
Yeah. So I would, and I think the system for Furia has, in some ways, also just not developed. It's not evolved to what I think other teams are doing in terms. Just it's so one-dimensional, and it's always very obvious where the attack's coming from. That I think so many teams have just, when you get deep into playoff runs, it just seems like people know how to counter them so much better. And with the Safe project too, it just doesn't, it doesn't seem like, for whatever reason, Safe was able to catch up to speed for opping, especially on T side. He has to rifle basically all of T sides now, because it just doesn't seem like he's ever going to put it together. And I think that's kind of a failure both on his part, but also like the support staff and the calling too, because there should be a way to get an op activated on T side, and for him to just pick up the rifle and say, you know what, I was always a primary opper, but now I'll just be like, 0.95 rated T side rifler. That's just a shame. That's just not how this team should be run. And so if I kind of think that if Furia just changed Art, that might be the future for them, because again, it's kind of like an IGL type thing. Like, Yuri should be a good enough player to be his right-hand man, and Drop seems like a decent enough support player that this team should work in some capacity. It's just that the calling style has really gotten away from them, and they've kind of lost the plot on where they should be looking to try to win trophies.
By the way, I'll just throw this out there. I looked it up right now. By win rate in the last 6 months on LAN, here are the 5 best maps, right, in this order for Furia. It goes Mirage, then Ancient, then Overpass, then Nuke, then Vertigo. It's like, brother, if your AWP ain't good, you ain't even fucking trying, or he sucks at the game. Like, those are the AWP maps! What are you talking about? How the fuck are you going to be playing those maps? Like, the joke is, if I drop fucking s1mple or ZywOo on Mirage, they're going to fucking, like, break their record of frags, aren't they? If I put those fuckers on Vertigo, which they used to always love in this team, that's the dream map, to have a fucking sick AWP, close range AWP. And like, they don't even try with this guy, mate. They just pop him in the team like, you're there, see ya. Like, what? What do you think, kassad? Thoughts on Furia?
Sometimes it's just about the AWP. Like, yeah, I wouldn't blame the calling or the coaching or anything there. Sometimes it can be only the op that you can just talk to the op and tell them, listen, I want you to use more spawns. Like when you get a good spawn, go for some move. We're gonna create moves for you and stuff like that. And then he says, okay, he gets the first spawn, and the next thing you see, he's posted up in the most defensive angle ever, holding a flash to just communicate. I can flash for you, I can flash for you. That happens. There's ops like that are like not meant to be tier 1. They are just, stuck in some sort of, level of competition, and that's that, right? You need to accept that as a team, change the op, move on, that's it. But also there is a direction when it comes to the calling, and at this point, I think the whole game structuring and the whole like strategic side is like Art is doing whatever he, feels is best for him, rather than what's best for the team. Like, okay, we get it, you're an aggressive player. You like to run through smokes. You don't have to do this every single round of every single game. Like, you have pieces like Furia and KSCERATO, two very, very talented team, especially team members, especially like KSCERATO, who can deliver anything. On any game against anyone, he can deliver 30 frags because he's that type of a player, superstar. Why not adjust and oblique your game based on that, rather than based on yourself and your own instincts? Like, I want to be aggressive. Well, who cares? You're not the best player of the team. Yes. I want to base my game based on my best players. And that's it. It's time to change. If I'm KSCERATO, you have two directions. I go to my, coaching staff, my management, and say, listen, I'm the best player of this team. I'm the top 10, top 5 players in the world. I want to play. This is. We can't do this anymore. Either we're going to change something when it comes to the game together, or I'm going to be out of this place. I'm going to be going benching myself. I'm not going to show up for practices. I'm just going to be, demanding you to sell me. And that's it. And then they say like, okay, we're going to sell you. We're going to trust Art, which is a fair thing to do. Like, you can do that. You can trust KSCERATO. It doesn't really matter. Like, and then you sell him. He goes to another team. He can speak English. He can deliver there, and he can go on with his career. But something needs to change. In this environment they're doing right now, they don't have a good enough team to be in any kind of deep playoff runs or any kind of finals or even titles at all. So, there is a few directions they need to take. I thought they were going to do it during the player break, but they decided not to do it because God knows what's happening there and who is running the show and who is making decisions.
By the way, as an aside, I would actually love to know what you guys think just of the raw eye test on KSCERATO. Because everyone in CSGO in the modern day with the FPL, everyone gets hailed as like, he's a crazy aimer. Like, I think half the crazy aimers aren't even that great when you watch the game. I think KSCERATO fucking just, it's like a 10 out of 10 his aim, mate. It's fucking ridiculous. I think it's nuts.
But he's smart. He's smart. He makes right decisions in the round. He's positioning himself very well. He's not overextending in any situations. He's good with utility. I don't know about his comms because we can't hear it, right? But all the signs point to that he's a superstar player, and the numbers just add to it. The stats on top of the things that we see on the actual server are just proving that he can be performing on a title contender team, rather than being, like you said yourself, it's been 4 years now when they're running the same system with the same core and doing the same things. By now they should be winning more things.
Yep. Exactly.
And I think, and they didn't. Janko said it multiple times, and he was 100% right, that they're just a team who is going to upset the potential champion and then lose in the next round. And that's it. There is nothing more to say about it. So they need to think. I thought they were going to do it, but they didn't. So I don't even know what to expect anymore.
I actually kind of want to wrap back to the op point there about safe briefly, just because Henny made it work actually when he was playing with this team, and so Henny had the best year of his career when he played with them. Well, admittedly, it was online, but I actually like the style looked like it was very effective.
Night and day differently, didn't it? From what his old Henny was like.
Yeah, and he was playing a pretty passive style. Like, he was just like kind of staying alive really late. KSCERATO and him would try to finish rounds, and if KSCERATO doesn't find any way in, then Henny would just save a lot of the time. And it kind of feels like Safe should have just probably try to look at whatever Henny did back in the day, because I don't think their plays probably changed a little bit here and there, like a smoke position or anything like that. But just the general philosophy of what Henny was taking into the games is something Safe could definitely learn from. And I'll say it also to answer your question Thorin about KSCERATO and the aim stuff is that he's probably just one of the best angle holders with a rifle ever, like or at least in the past couple of years. Which probably is ever because everybody's skill just seems to be gradually increasing as a whole. So yeah, I think that when people peek him, it's just a laser beam, it's just a trigger bot sometimes, and also just like he's so consistently finding headshots in late rounds. Like I think I might have made this comparison on like a Snake and Banter, but it's like the difference between Naf and KSCERATO is that Naf, when he tries to win a 1v2, will body shot people a lot of the time. KSCERATO's just headshotting everybody. It's so sick. So
listen, just to add to the opting, like to put people in perspective to actually understand what we try to say, is like Henny, obviously we know that he has shortcomings and everything, right? He has his flaws, but when he saves an op into the next round, into the eco round, compared to, let's say, safe, right? But Henny saves the op, I call a timeout to organize the round. When safe saves the op, nobody cares. They just play on.
Yeah.
That's the difference, right? He's a threat in every round with an op. Safe isn't.
Yes.
That's just the way it is.
By the way, I'll throw out one other piece of context as to why I also think Furia is somewhat doomed, which is, dude, as recently as literally the last major, I was still hearing behind the scenes from friends of mine who are either analysts in all the demos or the pro players. Every fucking person tells you like, oh, yeah, there's this like really nice new like smoke setup that Furia has. Like, did you see what they did on like this map here? Like, here's the downside. If you're the one that they're talking about that, but essentially everyone just goes, thanks, I'll take that. And then they use it and beat you. Like, that's a fucking terrible sign. Like, the joke is, I've always said this. If you really come up with an idea, if you actually understand the idea, like, you can copy my idea, Maui. If you actually do it better than me, you understood the idea better than me. That's a bad sign. Like, the premise goes, it's the reason why no one can be Thorin. Like, I've just mastered it, haven't I? Like, you could be a shit version of me. You're probably better off being yourself. So if someone's just saying, like, oh, it's brilliant what you're doing, but I'll just take that, thanks. And it doesn't even affect me. Like, that's a really bad sign. Like, if you're at the edge of the meta and things like that, you're supposed to have a mad edge. You're supposed to win tournaments off shit like that. You're supposed to be stories where we're like, and remember when they won that tournament from this like new smoke set there? No one's ever said that about Furia. Well, it's they never win anything, but you get why.
I think the last thing they won like that was against 100 Thieves when they did that triple boost or something on Vertigo. Yeah, that was probably like the last thing they won. Yeah,
wasn't there. Don't care.
It's after his time, exactly. His time.
Yeah.
I don't know. The thing is, like, they are just the style they're charging in. It's like, just imagine the situation where teams are preparing for you and they know you're going to be charging into smokes and throwing a bunch of nades and everything, and you just counter it with like a defensive style.
Oh, and by the way, one other thing I'll throw in there, because this will make people mad, so I'll just leave people with the needle. Right, you know how famously one of my big misses of all time was that I did do a video before he ever played for Cloud9 saying I thought it was a bad move to pick up Stewie 2K. I thought the idea of picking up someone who's just a pog star, and his whole thing, remember, was just make really sort of like gamble players through smokes. Here's where I was wrong. I was wrong for that year. You had a brilliant year. But here's where I was right. That style cannot last forever. Like, if we're talking about how you can't be a perma lurker, you can't just permanently be pushing mad smokes and being just aggro everywhere. This team shows it. Furia and Art show it. Like, people are just going to catch up to you eventually over time, mate. Like, the joke is just like, get right. Eventually you do just check behind you every now and then just to see if he is, you know what I mean? Like, you can't really just push that one style forever. If you could, you'd just be the best team ever. Like, you know.
It could be used, yeah. It could be used in the first or second year of CSGO, right? When people are not used to it. And the people adapt, people evolve, they get better and better. Yeah. Every new generation is the better of than the last one. Like, it's just the way it is. Like, look what happened to Happy. He was like the all-time like lurker, getting these lurks, and then he ended up like a fucking snail on the map that nobody just even stopped to look at. It was just, they were just doing things knowing that he's on the other side and nobody cared about his flanks because he was too slow. And it worked for the 6 months, 1 year, whatever, and never again. And that's why we never see him again. Ever. So, yeah.